What is up, everyone? Welcome to tonight's Maine Stream Fishing podcast with myself and Benya, Mr. Mike Hanson. Um, just got some bad news for everyone. We will not have a guest tonight. He had a family emergency come up, so we'll just run it like we are. So, how's everyone doing tonight?
Did you see earlier? I was going to mention that too. I jumped in here earlier to set some stuff up, and there was literally like 4 people were sitting in here before, like 4 hours ago. So I want to say I appreciate you guys actually jumping in there and putting comments in our lives while I'm still sitting at work, haven't even gotten home yet. You guys are already anxious for the show, so that is
That's
awesome.
right. That's right. We always love these people. That's right.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Welcome, Cairo, to the show. Scott. As always, Mr. Tim Williams from Florida. All right, Frank, you got to give me the lowdown on the Grimmy fishing, aka Frank. What's up with the Grimmy fishing? So hey, we're gonna wing it tonight. We had a guest scheduled, but he had to back out at the last minute. But we're just here to kind of throw out fishing and just for my Facebook users, Mike. If you are on Facebook, allow StreamYard. Go to www.facebook.com/StreamYard, and it will show your name over for my Facebook users.
That's the one thing I always hate, man. Yeah. It sucks that they do that because a lot of times I really want to engage with the people that talk to us, and so guys, just so you understand, on our end, all it says is Facebook user.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell us who you are. So we want to interact with you. That's the whole point of us being on here, is to be able to talk to you guys. So
this is Mr. I logged on my Facebook account on my phone. So this is Mr. Pat Crawford, Mr. Facebook user, trying to be incognito. I think he's wanted. No, I'm serious. No, he's a good guy. He's a good old country boy. So, but other than that, Mike is covered up by snow, right?
Not quite. It's been the worst. So this is the worst part about it. So this is the thing that's probably the most frustrating about being a Northeast angler, is that right now I'm not covered in snow, but it's been anywhere from 25 to 50 degrees. So it's just warm enough not to make ice, so we can't ice fish, but it's just cold enough that I'm not going to go sit in a plastic boat and freeze my butt off and not catch any bass. So it's like I'm right in that weird gray area where I just don't have the option to fish, really. I could suck it up and go out there, but it's not really worth the effort.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's getting colder, but it's not where it needs to be able to do that. So
right. But got to give a shout out to Southern Barrel Brewery Company too. Give me some apparel to wear. We went to a tap takeover the other night. So y'all ever do tap takeovers over there up north, Mike?
I'm not really familiar with that. No, what exactly? Explain it to me.
These are small brewing companies down here. This one's in South Carolina.
Okay.
But a lot of the smaller breweries, like independent breweries, other than Budweiser, Bud Light, and things like that.
Yeah. We have a lot of that here. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll come in to a bar and kind of take over like 4 or 5 taps and serve their product.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to them. Yeah. I think Pat said Coors Light. Yep, that's what's in the can. It's Coors Light. But
dude, that is so. I want you guys to. We're actually prototyping something tonight, and so I apologize that I'm kind of like looking away. I'm actually. I can't even call it redneck streaming because streaming and redneck and it doesn't really work. But I engineered a way to take the stream, port it over to my Instagram because I wanted to try to get more exposure, get more people able to watch the shows. So I found this weird way to do it. That Daniel, you'll appreciate this. It's actually quite entertaining. The typing is inverted, so it types right to left. So when I typed in "hey," it turns into YEH. It's like completely broken. So if anybody's watching over on Instagram, I'm not trying to not respond to you. I just can't because I don't know how to type backwards. So, but it is actually pretty cool. It's something I'm probably going to start doing with the Spawn too, and I'm definitely going to do with our podcast here. It's just another way for more people to see the live. And if you don't happen to catch the live on here, if you for some reason don't want to listen to it on Spotify, which to be honest, I would recommend doing it that way, then Instagram will just give us another place that you guys can follow us.
Right.
And I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell you this yet, but there's a potential that will be on Roku soon too. So we'll be bringing that up at a later date, but there is some potentialness that could be an option too. So if you want to watch us on your TV in your living room, it very well may become an option very soon. We will keep you posted on that. We're still working out the details on that.
Yep. And another thing, when Mike gets fishable waters up there after the brutal winters they're going to have up there, we're going to try to do a live broadcast from our kayaks fishing. So that'll probably be during the daytime, but maybe one weekend or something when we both have.
Dude, yeah, it's actually, when you brought that up, it's an interesting concept, and I've wanted to do it before. Partially this Instagram live thing too. That's where that kind of came from. Was I want to do some bait making ones, and I want to dual stream on YouTube and Instagram and be able to communicate with people. So that's why I'm piloting this. I really like the idea of. I want to do it would be really cool in my mind to do a live stream, like an instructional live stream, right? So if I bring like a small laptop where I can actually read the comments, because reading them on a phone and a boat is going to be insanely hard to do. But be like, do you guys have any questions, any techniques you want to see? And then I can actually like show them the technique right there in the live stream. I always thought that would be a really cool concept.
Yeah.
The funny part is no one does it. It's an untapped market, but there's a reason for that, because let's be honest, usually where we fish is also where there's no cell phone service. So it's hard to,
or we want to keep it secret,
or we want to make sure you don't get to see that I'm fishing 3 docks in from the blue house, because you guys are going to know my fish are there.
Yeah, for real. Or I'm fishing this boat landing, only fishing the boat landing itself, where they turn all the fish loose. So,
yep, that too.
But nah, man, it's just it's a grind down here in Georgia too. I hadn't been out on the water, golly, in weeks. Oh
really?
Yeah, just because I'm working night shift and it's just hard for me to get on the water.
Yeah.
Night shift, and me trying to get this tournament stuff going for the next year, and
right.
Yeah. So I'm not fishing any tournaments next year. I'm totally directing tournaments.
Really? You're not going to fish any of your own?
No. I'm on concentrate on my travel vlog next year.
Okay.
Excuse me. And try to get some content done at the state parks and the public PFAs and submit them to the Georgia wildlife people to kind of use on their websites.
Okay. Dude, it's funny. So we've kind of got the same but different philosophy. So I am pretty sure. Now, I'm highly competitive and maybe convinced otherwise, but I've got a 2024 year that's going to be even more insane than the 2023 year plan. The tournament side, which we can kind of probably go into a little bit here, but my plan is to fish the Northeast version of your trails. Basically, I'm going to do that online trail so that basically every day I'm fishing a tournament rather than a one live weekend a month.
Right.
And that's why I want to do that. But what that also opens up is I'm going to be releasing a bait making video once a month. And I'm also trying to do a lot more with like educational stuff, collaborations, lives, like you said, there's only so much time available, and doing the live tournaments, I want to do, instead of doing a live every month, I want to go do like that adventure series. I want to go do that one. I want to go do like a couple big tournaments instead of doing like one monthly local grassroots trail. I kind of want to just go save up and just do a couple big trips instead, because I feel like that's going to be more, I don't want to say enjoyable because tournaments are fun, but it's like I feel like having that big trip, and having that like
Yeah.
big event about it, for a content side, it makes it really fun to, well, you're a content creator, like you could film the trip down, you could film your pre-fishing, you can film thoughts and plans, and everything kind of gets turned into more of a story. And that's what I really like about YouTube, is being able to be like, tell my story. It's
That's
not,
right. Yeah.
let's be honest, you can watch one of 1,000 guys catch fish, and honestly, there's a lot of guys on there that are catching way bigger fish than I'll ever catch. So I'm not going to be able to compete in that aspect, but I want to be able to tell a story and have you guys come along with me and see the ups and downs. Because I don't know about you, but like when I post stuff, I don't just post good fish catches. I post when I bird's nest a reel. I post when I break a rod. I post the bad days with the good days. Granted, I'm not going to post a 20-minute video of me just casting and reeling and not catching fish. There's no one's going to watch that, but I don't hesitate to post when I do something stupid, because I want people to be like, to me, it's like I want people to feel like they're sitting in my back of my kayak hanging out with me.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do on my trap. A lot of people don't know about some areas here in Georgia that are public access areas. So that's what I kind of want to cover, especially some of these smaller rivers, and being in some areas that are very rural and not like everybody has access to, and
right.
But just try to find some kind of a backwater type deal.
My favorite kind of fishing, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
I love fishing those, being a kayak angler, and that's why I'll never have just a boat. For your I've been watching a lot of those episodes, and what's cool is you're doing a lot of the stuff, you're documenting it way better than I ever have, and I'm actually gonna have to get better at documenting it. But like, my favorite thing to do is go to a place that I've never heard of, right? So find a place that you can launch your kayak and go catch a bass, even if it's a 12-incher. It's still like the exploring and the adventure of going to somewhere you've never been. And a lot of people don't realize, and this is something that for me, especially me, I've learned, you always have this thought process and this mentality, right? That you have to go to the big lake to catch big bass. But I could tell you right now, my PB, my last 3 PBs did not come from Champlain. I live in Vermont. They did not come from the bass mecca of the Northeast. They came from a lake 20 minutes from my house. That's 400 acres. And some of the biggest bass I've ever caught have been in like under 200-acre ponds, because no one fishes them. So those fish have the chance to grow. They're not pressured. You actually can have a lot more fun sometimes in these little lakes, because they're not seeing 200 bass boats all day long. They're seeing 2 boats and maybe a kayak. They're not seeing a lot of activity.
Right.
So I absolutely love, honestly, doing it. Like, I think it's one of the coolest when you saw you doing that series, I was kind of honestly jealous because I was like, that is exactly the kind of stuff I love to do. Like, just show what nature has to offer and what the state has to offer. Because, like you said, there's a lot of people that maybe they're thinking about getting into fishing, but then they look at the big lake around them and they go, yeah, but then I got to get out there on that lake with the jet skis and the big boats, and I don't. That sounds dangerous. And then when you start showing people, hey, there's this little creek that you could put your kayak in. There's this little pond that you could go fish. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe this is something that's viable.
Yeah, if you look at big lakes, usually they're fed by something, a creek, a river, and then the river has creeks. So you really can just kind of go out like Greg Drew Gregory. He is a backwater fisherman.
Big time. That's where that whole adventure series thing came from, man.
And if y'all don't know about his adventure series, y'all need to go check him out. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. Drew Gregory's Kayak Adventures.
Yep.
He's putting these on throughout the whole United States. The only thing I don't think he has is like the Midwest, like the upper Midwest, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think. Well, no, because I think he had a Wisconsin one.
Oh, he has a Wisconsin.
I think it was Wisconsin or Minnesota. I think. I don't quote me on that. I can definitely look it up and let you guys know in the next live. But there was one out that way for sure. I think what's going to happen based on I listened to a couple of podcasts that he's on, and one of the things that he committed to is he's committed to he's already got next year's schedule, like not 2024. He's got 2025 schedule he's working on.
Gotcha.
So he's committing to 2 or 3 years. I have a feeling, could be wrong, but based on the way he talked and the way he operates, I don't think you're going to see him go back to any of the same places.
No,
I think you're going to see him spread it around, and he's going to start hitting more of. And granted, he's hitting a lot of the big places right now. I mean, Susquehanna River is the one I'm trying to think about going to. Come on. Yeah, that's known. But there's the cool thing about that series, just to give you guys a little bit of information on it, just so you understand why I'm so excited about it, is it's an event. So it's like a festival for 2 or 3 days. And they're not doing it like, oh, you fish Guntersville. It's like you fish anywhere within a mile of the center. So wherever their event is being held, it's basically a mile of you can fish the pond, you can fish the river, you can fish the lake, whatever's in the borders of this tournament are huge. So you're going to get a lot less guys. Like I've fished a lot of tournaments where like the pond was 200, 300 acres with 12 or even 15 guys. You turn around or you come around a point and there's a guy there. And then you go out to here and there's a guy over there. So when you get a mile or two, you're going to be able to get more anglers in there. And there's a potential, if you are willing to go literally up a creek, as the saying goes, you'll be able to be by yourself and not have as many people. So it's going to be more fun, I think. And it's going to create more availability for guys that just have paddle kayaks, for guys who just have paddle boards. Like you're going to get guys that are going to be able to launch in an obscure swamp that I'm probably not going to drag my old town down to.
Yeah,
so those guys are going to have that capability. They're going to be able to throw that paddleboard in there and maybe even compete.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Shane here, Shane Flint Outdoors. If y'all don't know Shane, he has a YouTube channel as well. And he puts on tournaments as well. So y'all go check out his channel. John and Lindia is from Florida. That's Susie's commenting here. Is that yes, I am. I've been traveling for the past 3 weeks of work, and I'm in Alabama right now. He's going to visit. I guess he's going to visit them down in Florida. They have a place they call Donkey Land, which is make sure I'm saying this right. Shane is on Okeechobee, right? Or somewhere down in that area. They also have a podcast. John and Lydia do it with. Golly, I can't think of that guy's name right now. he also has a YouTube channel. They do it every Friday night.
Cool.
So yeah,
we should have Shane on the show.
Yeah, we can get Shane on the show. I'll reach out to him.
Do a little podcast collab.
Yeah, we can get him on the show, and but yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to him. So yeah, it's going back to the Drew Gregory thing. I think he's got a good thing going there that he's putting on, and I'm looking at the Georgia one because I really want to fish that Flint River.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's the Flint River has one of the special fish of Georgia only, the shoal bass. And
those shoal bass, dude. Again, that's one of those deals that I want to check those out. Like I really do.
It's Georgia has a Georgia bass plan. So Georgia has 10 of the black bass species within the state of Georgia. You only have to catch 5 to complete the Georgia bass plan.
That's pretty cool, dude. See, that's the thing. We only have smallies and largies here. That's it. And
so Georgia's got a largemouth, a smallmouth. They have the Swanee bass. They have the shoal bass. They have the spotted bass. Golly, that I think they consider the Alabama. I really don't know all the bass species. Alabama bass.
There's a couple of different. There's a couple of different spots, yeah. Because I know I was watching. There was it was like Alex Rudd, I think, actually had. There's like apparently a difference between the Kentucky and Alabama, and like there's and then there's Mean Mouth, of course, which is the hybrid, but
right. So Caro's saying, "Yep, Georgia bass match." That's Marshall. He's from the west side of Georgia. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Did the whole he's done it for the last 2 years actually. He's caught all 10 species.
Really?
Yeah. For the last 2 years. He's doing a boat build. You ever heard of Tiny Boat Nation?
Yeah, actually I have.
Yeah, Tiny Boat Nation he bought a little bass tracker or something off of a Facebook Marketplace and took it over to Tiny Bass Nation, and
interesting.
They're doing he did a whole rebuild of this boat. I'm talking about stripped it. And this guy,
really?
Yeah, it's a nice boat build. It's going to be.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah, Shane. Definitely. We'll. I'll send you an email. We'll get you on here after the first of the year. After this is the only podcast we'll do in December. Because the next one would fall after the week of Christmas and everybody's traveling and things like that. So.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing on the Spawn, dude. We got one Sunday and we're shutting it down for the holidays. Let people do their holiday thing. There's no. January is going to be busy, dude, for me because I've got that podcast show with Bobby Roast Beef. So the guy I had on my podcast last week.
Yeah.
They're doing that 200th episode in the second week of January. So I'm going to go down there. I'm thinking about recording some content, haven't decided. And then basically it's going to be trade show season. I might even go live a little bit on Instagram for some of that because I'm going to be going down with some people and doing some trade show, try to do some networking, get some guys to come on. And
the guy you had on last week on the Spawn, man,
dude,
he was a nut.
Dude, you should try fishing with him. It's a fucking story.
They run Jigs and Bigs, right?
Jigs and Bigs. The Jigs and Bigs podcast. They actually have, so they're on Facebook, Instagram. They have a YouTube channel, but the way they use their YouTube channel is if you're a Jighead, which is their Patreon, which I actually am. What's kind of cool is, so they do an actual structured podcast where they record segments and they actually edit it down and release it. And if you're a Jighead, you get to be part of the recording. So what they do is they stream their recording. And you get like a lot of the like behind the scenes, like, hey, what the fuck are we going to talk about today? Like you get like the background stuff that you don't hear on the podcast. The stuff that gets edited out, you actually get to experience if you're on that. But I met them. So I discovered the podcast through Spotify, and I actually really enjoy I guess it's kind of promotion, but like one of the things you can do is when you're fishing and you get kind of bored is just throw a fishing podcast on in the background. It kind of keeps you entertained while you're fishing. And that's how I discovered them. And then I found out they were going to the Springfield Sportsman Show down in Massachusetts. So I went down to hang out and meet Bobby and talk to him. And that's kind of how I got introduced. And that's how I got introduced to A-Bay too, is he had a booth right behind them. And I kind of learned the power of going to a trade show and just talking to the vendors and just making friends. And it's really cool to go to these shows and meet these guys like Death Dealer, to meet these guys that have these small bait companies, because you learn the passion of these small companies and you learn like about them as a person rather than just seeing a website or seeing their baits. And that's actually was more entertaining than just seeing the products. Like the Springfield Sportsman Show is a hunting and fishing. So they have a lot of deer heads and mounts and bear mounts and all that stuff. And they got a lot of hunting related stuff, but it's a really fun, like that's one thing I like to do is go and try to give you guys content to show you what I found there. And you find some like cool baits and stuff. Like that's what's really awesome about it.
Yeah. Kay was saying, ask him about some biscuits. He bought some. I don't know if I missed something up somewhere. Y'all talking about biscuits and gravy, like Debo likes. You ever watch his podcast, Debo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Debo is another one of those guys that's like, I like his channel because he is him.
Yeah.
Like there is no dress up. There is no filter. That dude is just straight up making his content the way he wants, and he doesn't care. Yeah, there's Bass Patrol right there. They're going to be coming on a live soon too, but I'm going to be doing all kinds of lives, dude. I'm trying to bring as many people on as I can because people only want to listen to me talk for so long before they want to hear someone else.
That's right. Kara said, "Note the hubby Debo never has biscuits and gravy." Nah, it's So I'm gonna throw it out there, Mike. The North is gonna have a series this year through me.
I'm pumped about that, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that.
So we got Vermont, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Maine,
Rhode Island.
Who
I think
else?
that's all of them.
Is that it? Connecticut? Did I say Connecticut?
Connecticut's in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much draw a line from Pennsylvania and just go.
Yeah.
And it's that whole corner.
That is going to be starting in
May.
May
is the plan, yeah.
Yeah, the plan.
The plan is May. It's because of the weather. So you got to understand that, like you Southern boys get to start your tournaments in February, but for us, that would mean we'd have to roll our kayaks out on the ice and jig through a jig hole because we don't have open water at that time. So, and that's why we kind of divided it. So I wanted to give enough states the chance to be involved. And I know there's a lot of like small grassroots trails. I know Slay Nation is pretty heavy in the Northeast. But the difference between this trail and a live trail is that it's a month long. So you guys can go fish when you can fish. You're not bound to Saturday the 12th. You're not bound to a specific day. So let's be honest, it's kind of funny to think about when you do live tournaments is they're almost always like Saturday, right? But
that's right. Yeah.
Fishing's a blue collar sport. And like, there's guys that work on Saturday, so they can't do tournaments. So that's what's cool about a monthly tournament is that if you only have Wednesdays and Thursdays to fish, go fish your Wednesdays and Thursdays, go fish your home lake. And that's open water in Vermont is right now, honestly.
Yeah.
But so what's funny is I guess there's context to that question. So we have 0 fishing seasons except for trout. There are certain lakes, Lake Dunmore, which is near my house, and it's really weird and technical. The northern end of Lake Dunmore is closed to fishing from, I believe it's March until mid-May. Can't fish it at all because it's trout spawn. There's a lot of places where you can't target trout, but there's no bass season. So for bass fishing, you just can't keep them. You can catch and release all year long. There's no open close season. There's other places around me, like upstate New York, like where A-Bay is, they can't even target bass until mid-June. They're not allowed. They will get fined if they catch a bass. They're hardcore about it. So it's really crazy.
Bass Nation says a blue collar sport that takes a white collar man money.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That's the thing. I made that comment on one of my streams. You know, you think about it, it's like it's got the stigma of being the dirty, poor fisherman. But if you think about how much money you have invested in the sport of fishing, dude, it's a lot.
I'll tell you what, everybody posting their comments on what you think you got invested in your fishing gear right now.
Yeah. Because it's
post it in the comments. We'll post it. Yeah. It's
dude, it's nuts. Well, you think about it, even if you do it cheaply, like there's ways to do this sport cheap. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you gotta buy expensive stuff, but like the longer you do it, the more you accumulate and the more money you get invested. So like if you get a boat, then you got a ton of money. But even if you're fishing from the bank, you still are going to have some sort of tackle bag. To be honest, the guys from the bank sometimes, sounds weird, but sometimes they actually are spending a little bit more because they're getting more specialized gear, because they're getting the lightest, smallest backpack so that they can carry it. They're getting sorter boxes because they really got to organize everything. They don't have cubbies in their boat that they can just throw bins in and stuff. So you got to be really, really like coordinated when you do it from the bank. So sometimes you got to spend more money. I've got some bank fishing. Like I bought a bag that's designed for bank fishing that holds 3,700 boxes that I put behind my seat to hold plastics. So like I use some bank fishing technique stuff to use for my kayak.
Yeah. So Bass Patrol that says haha, including the boat.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say, dude. Yeah. For some people, you throw a skeeter in there and you're already.
Yeah, so Cairo says Lordy way too much for the hubby's comfort.
Yeah, it's
it's an expensive sport. Scott says Benya, he's from Bennington here.
Oh, dude, you're not. I mean, so I'm in for the sake of being on the internet, and I'll hit you up, Scott, later, but I'm in the, let's say, Rutland area. So I'm not awful far from you.
So Shane says I got $7,000 on rods and reels and tackle in my boat right now. Yeah.
Dude, it's terrifying, to be honest. It's terrifying going to the gas station because you want to go in and get like a snack, and you're like I don't have rod lockers in my boat. Because I do, but they're 7 foot. So it's really tight in there, and I've already broken 2 rod tips, so I don't use the rod lockers. And like I purposely, like if I go in the store, when I pull into the gas station, I'll pull my truck like right out front of the window, and I'm like constantly looking out the window to make sure no one's messing with my boat, because like you think about it, somebody could clean you out quick. And there's a lot of money sitting there on the deck of your boat, dude.
Let me tell you, if I have my kayak and everything in my truck right now, and somebody stole my truck, it'd be heartbreaking.
Yeah, we'd be doing a GoFundMe episode for Daniel's new kayak and gear. Is what would happen. We'd be begging the community to try to help us out, because what's crazy too is it's not even necessarily the investment either. It's like you have the rods that you want. Like you have that rod that you use for this technique, and you have that favorite rod that you always catch with your, like you have your favorite finesse rod, you have your favorite cranking rod. Like you get attached to this equipment. So sometimes it's not even the financial aspect as much as the like emotional. Like that rod has caught you 100 fish, and you've caught your PB on that rod. It's a lot to it.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Tim Williams says he's got $20,000 in all poles, 4 kayaks, baits, and molds.
Dude, 4 kayaks. That doesn't take long with 4 kayaks, man. It really doesn't.
You if you bought a top of the line Hobie right now, top of the line Hobie,
those are like
that's almost 20 grand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, I think those are like 48, 5,000, something like that now, just for the Hobie. And then you're talking, dude, even the Old Town, which was the kind of like entry level pedal drive, dude, those are like almost 3 grand now.
Yeah,
like they're not
crazy.
cheap.
Yeah, that when that COVID hit, man, it was hopefully YouTube don't knock us for that, saying
we'll
that
get
word,
banned now. We're officially down
we're
now.
banned.
Yeah, we're gone.
We're gone. Yeah, it's crazy how everything's went from here to here. So
well, and you know what's funny? The funniest thing about it too, to me, the most entertaining thing about it is that it blew up kayak fishing.
It really did.
It blew it up like exponentially.
Well, it was so, you know, and I tell you the secret behind that, because I've talked to so many people, is the reason why it blew up, because the kayak industry was flooded with kayaks. And these kayak shops were sitting on thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And they were like, holy crap, we got to get rid of this inventory.
Yeah.
And they started blowing kayaks out the door. And then people started going.
Do you know the story of my kayak?
I think he told
the story. Yeah. Like the fact that I only paid $900 for my kayak.
Yeah, that's with me. I only, if you go look at my kayak right now on NuCanoe's website, it's $1,800.
Yep.
I paid, I paid $1,000 for it, but it was used. It was a used kayak. It was a demo model. I knew the guy running the kayak shop. I reached out to him. David Smith, he used to run a kayak shop called Coyote Outdoors. He had to close his shop due to health reasons, and he's like, "Man, I got this perfect kayak for you." I was looking at a NuCanoe because of the style of it and the stability of it, and he gave me an opportunity to purchase one. So I said, "Yeah, I'll come up." Me and my wife took off and went to Athens.
Dude, so it's funny because mine wasn't supposed to be cheap. It was just because West Marine screwed up. So they listed my pedal drive kayak at the paddle price, and I just ended up buying it on my credit card. But it was because I actually found out.
Yeah.
So I started fishing hard during COVID, right? And then I found out, dude, like I was 100 pounds without my gear for my old kayak. I was 100 pounds over the max weight before you even added gear. So I was almost doubling the max weight for my kayak. The max weight for my kayak was 250. I weigh 315. Then you add 4 or 5 rods, 4 or 5 3600 tackle boxes, and a plastics bag.
Yeah.
So I was almost double in the capacity of that kayak. So honestly, credit to Sun Dolphin for not putting me at the bottom somewhere, because it shouldn't have held my ass. But then I ended up upgrading and I got such a good deal on it. But then, like, I really want a new kayak. I want a bigger kayak to do these big adventures and tournaments with. But I also want spot lock. So I kind of got it financially. That's not in the cards for me. So I want to get a spot lock for my bass boat. And, but yeah, dude, it's nuts. Like, in my opinion, and I knew about fishing and I'd been into bass fishing a little bit, but from 2020 to 2023, kayak fishing went from this to like, it so many people. You just see people like go to the boat ramp, dude, and it's not uncommon to see. Like when I first started, I was like laughed at. Like I was pulling. Granted, I was in a freaking sit-in kayak with a milk crate in the back that had 4 PVC pipes zip tied to it to hold my rod. Like I was set up, but I was set up in a way that was redneck engineered to the max, right? But like now, I'm not even the most decked out boat at the ramp. Like not even close. And I've got 2 camera mounts, a lithium battery, fish finder. Like I'm over rigging my kayak still, but I'll pull in there and I'll pull up next to a guy with a Hobie that's unrolling 10 rods. And so it's crazy to see how much, and it's awesome to see the growth, because what you're also seeing, in my opinion, is you're also seeing a lot of companies start to make stuff kayak specific. You're starting to see 13. They're starting to make shorter rods. Like you're getting their medium heavy rods, but you're getting you're getting a 6-7. You never saw a 6-7 casting rod. 7 foot was minimum, man. That was as short as they went. All of a sudden, you're starting to see 6-7 casting rods. You're starting to see just stuff that's kind of more tailored to, and don't get me started on how Yak Attack and all those guys are just like, they're pumping out freaking all kinds of accessories.
Yeah, it's I want to get to some comments here, Mike.
Absolutely.
Kayra says, we're going to Guntersville, stop to get gas. Someone stay with the gate while others went inside. Hey, I totally get you. I totally get you. I'm like, when I'm in the gas station, I'm always peeking over the counter, and
it's honestly, the worst thing in the world is pulling in that gas station and going, do I want to use the restroom? Do I dare use the restroom? Because I can't see my kayak while I'm in there. Like I'm actually redoing my kayak trailer because of that. So the way I built my trailer, it's an old pop-up camper, and I did over top of the wheel wells, I built like rod boxes basically, and I'm actually going to be making it so they have closable lids.
Yeah.
So that I can actually lock them, so I can start stashing my baits and my rods and my fish finder and stuff, and then I'll lock my kayak to the trailer, so that way I feel a little bit better, because it's just, and honestly, I've never seen it happen, but I feel like every time I go in there, I'm going to come out and there's just going to be nothing left. Like,
oh yeah,
it's so paranoid.
Yeah, because I know, was it, not even talking about equipment. I think last year Ron Champion was at a kayak event. He comes out and his Cadillac converter was cut off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, and it's simple stuff. Like I've had this happen. Like I've seen it happen too, is guys are jerks. Like I've gone up to like my bass boat trailer and had my latch flipped up. And I know it didn't flip up on its own because mine's got a cotter pin that goes in there.
Yeah.
To prevent it from doing that. And you go and your lock is flipped up. And it's like, why? Like, you just want to see my boat fall off my truck? Like, I don't understand why you would benefit from that in any way. Like,
just jacklegs, jerks being jerks.
Yeah, just probably some guy that saw me catch like a 3-pounder got jealous and figured out where my boat is, and then just went and flipped my thing. It's like, which is funny because I'm not like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna start typing coordinates into the chat. But if someone's next to me, or actually, honestly, when I come back, and this is actually something that I want to ask you on if you ever experienced this too, is when I come back to the boat ramp, if I see someone that's heading out, right, and they don't look like they're a jerk, I'll be like, hey, black blue swim jigs on wood, and then I'll just walk up to my truck, like just give them some sort of the pattern. Like I'll mention it to them, especially if they have a kid with them. If they have a kid with them, I'll tell the kid. Like I've actually gone at boat ramps, walked up to a kid and say, do you know how to wacky rig? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, here. And I'll hand them like a bag of worms and be like, take this, hook this on this hook, cast it out and let it sink. Like, I want to see other people catch fish because honestly, I'm done for the day. I already figured out the pattern. I'm going to help you out because that's the one thing people don't think about, is that pattern probably isn't going to work tomorrow anyways. Those bass have moved on from that anyway. So I'm not giving away anything.
I can't tell you how many times I've went in my tackle bag and seeing people fishing from the bank or something, at the boat, close to the boat ramp. And I like to talk to people.
Yep.
And I say, hey, y'all catching anything? No, we've had no luck. I said, well, I've caught a few on these. I said, here, take a few of them. This is the way I fish them.
Yep. Dude, I'll do it all the time. I'll be like, yeah, take this right here. And I one day, dude, I gave a kid a whole drop shot rig. Like I tied it for him because I was like, hey, are you catching anything? He's like, no. And I'm like, hey, listen, try this. And I literally tied the hook. I'm like, I showed him and I tied on. I gave him a tungsten weight, gave him the whole setup, hook, everything, tied it right onto a spinning rod. I'm like, try this.
Yeah.
And you know, that just like, especially the kids, because the thing that people don't think about is the fact that those kids are beneficial to you too, because those kids are the future of the market, which means Berkeley is going to continue to make baits. Rapala is going to continue to make baits. Hobie's going to continue to make new innovations in kayaks. If they don't have a new market, if they don't have a new generation of people, they're going to not profit. They're not going to spend money to invest in new stuff. So keeping the next generation invested in this sport, which is getting harder because a lot of them are stuck on screens,
and
is a beneficial.
In talking about that is going back to these high school programs.
Yep.
You know, a lot of these high school programs, you know, a school's not going to buy a boat. I'll go ahead and tell you that. And not unless it's
no way.
Unless it's a private school and mom and daddy got money.
Yep.
But I think a good way to get high school programs in to competition fishing, and Chad Hoover does this on the KBF side, has a high school series of kayak bass fishing. He also has a college series as well. Is a good way to try to approach these high schools saying, hey, you know, there's other ways than a bass boat. That's just like colleges. You know, all these colleges have, you know, Auburn has a team. You know, all these big schools have bass fishing teams now because these kids want to go to the pro level. They want to go to the elite. They want to go to the ML.
To be fair, too, though, Skeeter, Bass Cat, they're donating those boats.
Yeah.
So they're not spending $100,000 on the boat, but at the same time, like that's something that, you know, it's funny is that's something I would love to see here. They just barely started doing. I think there's 4 schools in Vermont that do like a bass fishing,
like a bass fishing club.
sport. I guess it's a high school sport. And I looked into it, dude, but the problem is I wanted to do it and I really wanted to be like a coach. But the problem, dude, is the financial investment in that is insane because you have to have $1 million insurance policy on your bass boat.
Yep.
And in a way, the kayak format is way more inclusive because if you actually look at the rules, it's only how many boats you have. But most teams, like around here, the school can only have 2 boats. And there has to be an adult on the boat, and the adult actually can't even drive the trolling motor. They're not allowed to be anywhere but the captain's seat in that boat, and they're not allowed to move. They're not allowed to help net. They're not allowed to participate. They're not even allowed to give advice. They are there to shut up and let the kids make their own decisions, which is perfectly fine. But if you did a kayak high school series, the kids could get the kayaks. Those are more attainable.
That's right.
Because they could go buy a used Hobie for $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, you can get, I mean, maybe $2,000, but like ultimately you could have 5 kids on a team fishing in a kayak series rather than 2 on some dude's boat that's now liable for those kids. And that's, to me, I think kayak fishing for kids would be way more viable. And honestly, it's easier on the whole. If you do catch, picture, release, it's just an easier thing to organize, in my opinion. Like, I mean, you run a bunch of tournaments. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work to vet those fish on the photos. It's a lot of work to do that directing, but it's just as much work to figure out how many of those fish you got to kill. Because you got to cut open the ones. If they win big money, you got to make sure that there's not the walleye weight deal going on and all this other crap.
So Cairo says that get the kids in scouting, which I guess means Boy Scouting.
Yeah,
that helps too. And,
that's dying up here bad. My son was in it, and it was like it got down to the point where when he got done, there was like 3 kids in it.
Oh wow!
It's
there's a guy that fishes with us here locally, Chad Montgomery. He is actually a chef by trade, and he's associated with the Boy Scout group. They have a big camp up here,
Yep.
up in Scriven County. Scriven County is a rural county above us here, and they have a big lake up there and a big like, I guess, dining hall and
Yep.
things like that. So,
see, that would be now, dude. A fishing camp would be the coolest. Like that just gave me a thought, like having a summer camp, but it's like for fishing. You know what I mean? Like no one does
yeah,
that. It's all like there's fishing at a summer camp,
yeah,
but you literally have like educational, like you have local anglers come do seminars, and that would be a freaking cool idea.
yeah.
Because you get all these kids that would come and just like, you teach them everything from bank fishing right up through to using a kayak, bring them out on a boat.
Yeah.
That would be freaking awesome, dude.
How to read fish finders, how to,
Yeah, because you could literally bring in like you could have not like it's literally like Boy Scouts. Like you could have a knot tying seminar. You could have, tying rigs. You could have everything, dude. You could do so much with that. That's honestly what my channel is just me being like, okay, because that's what I realized, and it's something that it took me a while to catch on, and that's honestly why I don't want to say I was hugely successful, but like if you look at my analytics, dude, everything's like 300% more than last year because I realized that like there's a lot of people that started fishing, and we're not going to say it because we don't want to get banned, but during the year of 2020, there was a lot of people that started fishing that didn't learn how to tie a Polymer knot at 6 years old. They didn't learn what a drop shot was. They have no idea what I'm talking about when I say a crankbait. So
or how to tie a drop shot, or how to how to the different types of
why do you use fluorocarbon versus monofilament? Yeah.
Or why do you use braid versus
there's all that stuff, and that's why I've been trying to like really do simple videos, and I've been getting better at it, I think, of like really shortening it up too, so it's not too long-winded. But that's something that I actually want to start at some point. It won't be next year, but I kind of wanted to start like it's almost like a guide, but not like a fishing guide, but more of like you bring your kayak and meet me there, and I teach you how to fish kind of deal.
Exactly. What to look for in certain spots, what time of year.
Yeah. Like it's more like a tour than a.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what the kayak guys do with the like whitewater rafting guys and stuff like that, where they take you on an adventure where you bring someone fishing and then you explain, hey, this right here is a good place to fish a frog. This is where I would fish a Texas rig. Kind of like what I do in my videos, but just have customers with me while I do it.
Yeah. So, Mike, I want to give a shout out to Battleborn Baits. They're the sponsor of tonight's show. If everybody would go over to Battleborn Tackle, not Battleborn Baits, excuse me, battleborntackle.com is the sponsor. I'm fixing to share their screen, their website. If everybody would go over there and kind of check them out, give them some love. They do have all kind of things from electronics to baits to fishing reels to fishing line, hooks, weights, tools, accessories. They are located out of, I want to say Las Vegas, like Nevada area. So give them a shout out. And they have an Instagram, Facebook. They also are associated with the kayak club out there. So
dude, that's cool.
Yeah, so they have everything. So
yeah, guys, go check them out because honestly, this time of year, guys, holidays are right around the corner, and there's nothing that a fisherman likes more than you don't know what to get your significant other or your uncle that fishes. There's a bunch of stuff right there on the screen that to be honest, can't really go wrong with a nice roll of fluorocarbon. Or if you don't know what kind of baits they like, you could definitely go with line because he may have a particular brand, but ultimately you can do some pretty simple stuff with hell, get him a bag of Senkos. I mean,
so battleborntackle.com is their website. Go over there and show them some love. Show them some love on Instagram. like their Instagram, like their Facebook, and maybe buy you something while you're at it.
And if you guys do hit them up on Instagram, don't forget to let them know that we sent you over.
Yeah.
Just tell them, it's they're helping out the channel, and we would love to see more people. Mutual love is the way it works. We want to try to make them better, and that's what we're all about. It's not like that's what's funny about my channel, dude. Is I have a lot of people that I bring on that have businesses that there's not like they're paying me. It's just I like seeing small companies grow. Like I like seeing because the industry is, let's be honest, it's full of monsters. It's full of huge, big corporations, and I'd like to see some of these smaller guys get their piece of the pie because, like we said earlier, there's a lot of money getting thrown around in the sport, and it'd be cool to see some of these local homegrown shops start getting some of it.
Yep. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a post from Bass Patrol Nation on some Death Dealer baits, and they were getting a lot poured in their little shop. So,
dude, I like I said, I've been doing plastic making videos. The longer I do it, the more appreciation I have for those guys that like do it on a commercial level. Like even if they're small and they just do a few orders here or there, like it's not easy being consistent, and it's not easy coming up with those color combinations, man. It's an art form.
Yeah, it's a science
to make the brown that you want. I've actually tried in 2 episodes that you guys will never see in my bait making series to make like a good green pumpkin color that just sucked, and I ended up just remelting it and making something else out of it, because it's not easy to mix those colors up. You have to be really good, because it's a combination of, you're taking a clear liquid, you're adding color into it, you're adding, and like just something simple like adding glitter. Like I made baits the other day with just glitter, like no colorant, and you'd be impressed on like how a black bait with just black glitter, and you have no idea that it's just glitter. Like it's crazy how much the glitter changes the color of the bait. So
yeah,
those
Tim is the mad scientist behind the Death Dealer baits. He is we've spoken several times on the phone, and he's like, I just remelt this and remelt that, and it becomes a color, and we're like, okay, how do we get that color again? So
that's literally what I started with my channel, was like I wanted to, like, it was for me. It had nothing to do with the viewers, but I was like, it's funny because you don't hear it in the video, but I'm like 2 drops blue, and then I mix it up. I got my respirator on, and then I'll be like 1 drop green, and then I mix it up, because like I write the recipe down later, but I never really wrote it down before, so now I just yell it to the camera so I can play it back and get it, because I'll never write it down right.
So Tim says he just made 1,500 baits in 2 days for 1 order. Good job, Tim.
That's awesome, dude.
That's pouring them, son.
And to be fair, dude, I've been on their site. They're not like gouging people either.
Nah.
Like they're charging fair prices. Like you're not, and you guys gotta remember too, they're also not mass producing these in China at 2 cents a pop either. They're hand pouring these, and they're doing this out of their garages. So it's not like it's, I think now, if I'm not wrong though, did Death Dealer, they just got a shop though, right? I think they just upgraded, or I saw something.
No. That's the car shop. That's the
okay.
Yeah, that's the car side.
Got it.
No, Tim has a shop at his house.
Gotcha.
That they pour in. Yeah. So Scott said he just subbed to your channel, Mike. Next one, see a fellow Vermonter.
I appreciate that. What's funny is I started the channel because I got sick of watching, and I love these guys, but I got sick of watching Tactical Bassin do their buyer's guides, and I got sick of watching these damn Southern guys talking about using 12-inch and 16-inch worms that will scare our fish to the other side of the lake. So I started making content that was kind of tailored to Vermont.
Or big swim
those, dude, I will tell you though, I've come full circle on that, man, because big swim baits for some reason do work. And I don't know why, because I always thought there's no way in hell my fish are going to want that, but they will. But that's why I started the Vermont channel, because there isn't anybody up here. Well, actually, I can't say that. I thought there wasn't anybody up here.
Yeah.
There isn't anybody that's doing bass. There's VT2U. That's one of my buddies. He's up towards the northern part of the state. He does a lot of trout stuff. He actually jigs for trout from a kayak, from a paddle kayak, mind you, on Champlain. You should check out his channel. It's cool. And then he's not from Vermont, but Bear Fishing, my boy from Canada, comes down to Vermont and he makes a lot of his content down here. He's actually one of the first ones. So your idea about doing a live on the boats,
Yeah.
we're gonna try to do one on the lake if the lakes freeze. We're gonna try to do an ice fishing, like ice shanty podcast that we're gonna try to record and then release it later. But the problem with Vermont is it's all trout guys, dude. It's like there's the bass group, and there's definitely a hardcore group of bass, but like they're more tailored towards the trout. And it's like I just wanted to show that there's bass lakes and there's these little ponds, and
that's another one of my bucket list fish is a trout. And I've never went to a stream because Georgia has seasons on trout.
Yep.
And they have to they restock these streams every year with little trout about, I would say, about 12 inches long. But I want to go catch at least one trout, a brown, a rainbow, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, you catch like rainbows. Like the rainbow I caught was like that big on a freaking Berkeley Stunna perch colored jerkbait, just trolling, dude. Like, so that's what we should do. We got to figure out financially how to get me down there, and you'll get me on a Georgia bass, and then I'll have you come up here and we'll get you on some trout, because I'm learning trout. I'm not a trout expert. I'm gonna be learning how to catch them better, but there's a couple of places.
Plenty of Georgia bass. Hey, ain't a big deal to me.
We gotta figure out how to do some. I gotta take a trip. Not to mention, honestly, I'm a Braves fan, so coming down there, maybe catching a game wouldn't be a bad thing either. But
yeah, they making a lot of trades. I don't know I don't know.
They do that, man. They make the playoffs for 4 or 5 years in a row, and then they start fire sailing again. It's pissing me off,
but yeah, man, we've been going for about an hour now, man, and just hate that we couldn't have Maine Stream Fishing on for y'all tonight. We'll have him on at a later date. But yeah, it's make sure you subscribe to our channels. Make sure you like us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, wherever. We're everywhere. You can listen to the podcast on Monday, starting on Monday on Spotify. If you missed it, but yeah, we're everywhere.
Yeah, me and you are like, I was talking to my buddy the other day. I'm like kind of like a social media addict at this point. Like, I have got almost 2 of every social media account. I don't necessarily post on all of them all the time, but it's just fun to talk fishing. And the more people I interact with, like, I just learned that, Scott's not that far from me. Honestly, I've fished down there quite a bit. I used driving through Bennington once every month to go down to Massachusetts. Like, I want to try to fish with more people too. So if you're in my area, hit me up on Instagram. And I mean my area, like Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Western Massachusetts. I'll travel. We'll travel to fish. That's how I operate. Hit me up. I would love to meet up with people if you're willing to be on camera, because that's the only rule is if I'm fishing, there's a freaking GoPro pointed at me every time I hit the water, because I miss too much when I don't. But if you want to come meet up with me, let's go fishing, because I am anxious already, man.
That's like that award right there I won. I don't even have it on camera.
See, every time, dude.
See? And that's a Georgia Angler Award for 2022. So,
I'm gonna win the I guess are we gonna rename that, or we're just gonna call it the Southeast Georgia Northeast West South?
I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna put it on my
the North Series
on my Tourney X. Yeah, we're just gonna call it the Northeast Series. That's it.
Okay.
2023, 2024 Northeast Series. That's it.
Cool. All right.
On Tourney X. And but yeah, anybody in the North want to get in on that series, you can reach out to me or Mike, and we'll get you the information. But all them tournaments should be hitting Tourney X probably late February. I'll get everything posted on Tourney X, and that way everything will be there.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions on that, definitely let me know. It's a cool way to get into it. It's a very, very low cost. We're not Bassmasters level entry fees. It's very, very low entry fee. It's really just to get people experienced and having fun. And that's really what it's about. Is for me, it's competitive nature of upping my game when I go out and having a reason. Some days, to be honest, do I want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go fishing? No. But if I know I'm chasing 2 inches on my tournament, I'm like, wow, maybe I should get up and go catch something. So sometimes it drags my lazy butt out of bed.
So what we got going on starting in January, we have a Weekend Warriors series and a River series.
Okay.
They run from January to December, and we'll have our Kayak Nation Online series, which has to do with our Angler of the Year points and things like that.
Cool.
It'll start in March, so it'll start around the spawn and then go.
And you're doing like I forget if we kind of talked about this, but you're gonna have, is it gonna be this show or are you gonna do another live? Because you're gonna like do recaps and kind of go over.
Yeah, I'll I'll do my tournament talk stuff. I'll pre-record all that.
Okay.
It'll drop on YouTube and things like that. So, but as the series goes on, we might reach out to that month's winner or something.
Yep.
And reach out, hey, let's get you on the.
Because I can tell you for the Northeast series, I'm going to be helping Daniel direct it because he's going to have a whole bunch of series going on. So I'm going to be helping vet some of the fish as well as competing. He's, for fairness, before anybody starts bitching at me, I will not be vetting my own fish. Daniel will be vetting all of my fish. I'm not scoring any of my own stuff. But on my channel, on the Spawn podcast, I am going to be doing probably once a month. I'll go over the winners for that month, and I'm also going to go over the AOI standings. So I'll have a portion of my Spawn podcast that's going to have that. Daniel's also going to be going over that, but that way it's on both places. So that's another cool thing about doing a tournament series with content creators, is that honestly, if you want to come on and talk about how you won, it's a perfect place to get some exposure. We're going to talk about you. We're going to put your name up and say, hey, this guy did good, and
So thanks for everyone for joining the show tonight, and Merry Christmas, everyone. Be safe on the roads. That's the main point. Be safe, enjoy family time, and we'll see you after the first of the year. Thank you for watching. Fish on.